Hi there, Tina here. Okay, so a few days ago, 3 days ago, was January 6th, 2021. And that was it goes without saying really that was an extremely impactful day in terms of energetic shifts. If you are sensitive to energies at all, you probably had some experience, depending on your discernment to articulate what it is that you're feeling. I know a lot of people are just feeling so much, maybe not able to put words to it. I can share what I experienced that day, and I should preface this by saying I did not, I wasn't viewing any type of media, so I didn't actually know what was going on that day, even though it was expected. I still don't totally know what happened. I haven't fully involved myself with that. I am doing my best to just tune into what I'm feeling and sharing that. So for me that day, I could feel, obviously on one hand, change. Not quite just a shift, but change. It felt like something had cracked open and there was this new energy that I could feel that was actually quite palpable, which felt different to me. And then within that was the energy that was something that had cracked open, and this new energy was emerging, was the crack in the foundation of our societies, of our world, that is crumbling. It's like that crack has been creeping and creeping and creeping, and finally it's just, there's been this final, like this breaking point where this new energy has come through, and therefore the process of the crumbling of these old systems and that old foundation is speeding up exponentially. So on that note, things will keep happening. They may feel a little chaotic, they may feel a lot chaotic, and it's more important now than ever to just, again, maintain your personal vibration. Okay, sorry, I keep breathing because there's obviously a lot of energy to this. And I'm wanting to choose the most appropriate words for the energies that I'm feeling and the things that I'm seeing and hearing. So I wanted to share that evening, the night of January 6th, I had a dream experience where I was being shown, I'd woken up at some point in the middle of the night and was just enveloped in this amazingly benevolent love energy. And I was able to still see what I was just experiencing. And the best way I can describe it was like a series of frames, because I was in these squares. I don't know why a square, like a Polaroid type of a thing, where I was in a scene. The scene was the colors were extremely vibrant, extremely vivid, and it was all nature. It was just huge leaves and flowers and trees and animals, and but everywhere that every time that I'd switch, the way that I was able to switch to a different frame was I would have a desire, and my heart was very open, so these desires were coming from my heart, and then it would happen, and then we'd flip to it. I would be taken to another frame. Same thing would happen, different thought, different desire, and then it would happen. So I was being shown how quickly the buffer between the thought and the manifestation is happening now. The color is representative of multidimensional consciousness. I've mentioned that before. You've maybe heard that elsewhere as well. Our linear consciousness, our old thinking, is very black and white. It's polarity. It's the idea that between the spectrum of black and white is gray, but when you actually shift, when you're in higher consciousness and you look at it, you see its color, which creates a completely different experience of life. And there was a common theme in each of these frames, which was a butterfly. And I found that interesting. And then it was just reminded to me of the metaphor of the butterfly, right? Butterfly, which is emergence. So not re-emergence. I think sometimes our minds can go like we are reconnecting, we are recalibrating, this is all so new. The overall process of emerging and things like that isn't entirely new. But because this is a new energy, a new cycle that we are in, it's important that we sort of have that distinction that, yes, a lot of it is very new. We have experienced a lot of these processes before, so we can become familiar with them, so we know how to navigate ourselves. But the difference is new energy. So that was quite interesting and beautiful, which kind of has led me since then to just really look at what we've been experiencing in regards to our polarity and what's actually happening. So yesterday I was inspired to look back into the dissertation that I had written. I had written a dissertation on the evolution of consciousness, and there was a part where talking about the different attributes of astrological ages. So one of the attributes of the Piscean age, first, if we understand that the symbol of the Pisces symbol, is two fish swimming in opposite directions. So there's a man named Robert, I'm going to get his name right, Ohotto, who is an intuitive astrologer. So I referenced some of his material. So when he's talking about the Piscean age, he says, quote, "Polarity is at the very heart of the symbol of Pisces." And then I broke up that statement. He went on to later say, "Yet fused together in union, such that they cannot release from each other." So it's kind of interesting because with 2020, our polarity really came to the surface, and we're calling it our division and how divided we are, but it's actually the polarity within us. So it's that black and white thinking. And it's almost like it's actually completely like we were trying really hard to snap and break off from each other, because when you're pushing towards something or trying to pull away from something really, really hard to just get away from it, which is our beliefs that I'm right, you're wrong. You've heard me talk if you're watching my videos, you've heard me talk about conformity consciousness, right? And that's the mantra. I'm right, you're wrong. If you don't agree with me, we can't get along. And so we saw that come to the surface, and we experienced all that comes with that, which isn't entirely comfortable. So what's actually happening now is what Robert talks about too, is as we move into the age of Aquarius, we are actually experiencing the merging of opposites. So the idea that with polarity, that it just breaks off and that there are two separate worlds isn't true. So now we're experiencing the merging of these. So there is, I just did a very simple internet search for a definition of emergence, going back to the butterfly, but also just the metaphor, the symbolism of what's happening here. So emergence is simply the process of coming into view or becoming exposed after being concealed. That is a good way to describe the catalytic energy of January 6th. There is going to continue to be more exposure. If you've heard me talk about the metaphor of the energies of 2020, which is about clear vision, which is understanding that our hindsight is becoming more clear. So we're able to see our past more clearly as our peripheral vision becomes more clear and our blinders come down. As we're able to see what's going on around us, we have a better understanding of where we've been and what we've been experiencing and how we've been living, in order to then create a new future. So if you've heard me talk about this metaphor, you've heard me say that when this has been shown to me, that when I tune into the future, it was blank, and it was because we have to go through this process first of clarifying the hindsight and the peripheral, which brings me to this point with the exposure that comes with emergence of our polarity, right? It's I keep visualizing like smoking out a field, to get pests and things out of the tall grass, to smoke them out and get them out. Not the nicest visual, but it's an effective metaphor. So what's happening and what will continue to happen, and it is speeding up. This is why I'm breathing deeply. Is because more of what's been hiding in that tall grass is going to be seen because our blinders are coming down. This is, I need to stress this. This is absolutely necessary. And a lot of this, and I've been saying this since 2019 when this vision was first shown to me for the metaphor of 2020. As those blinders come down, first thought is, yay, we get to see more. But, oh my God, what am I seeing? So there's a lot of discomfort that is likely to be felt and experienced. So with what we've been kind of pushing against and pulling towards and all of that, a lot of us are going to see more, which will cause us to see each other differently and to see our overall view of the world differently. The thing about that polarity too, that division, is that on whichever end your mind might most resonate, there's still commonality in our hearts. We all really do want the same thing. And in order for us to merge and unify, the smoking out of those fields needs to take place so that we can create a new world that is built on a new foundation of love and compassion. There are two main pinnacles of higher consciousness that I will speak of here. One is compassion. The other is thinking for the self. And they're not in sequence. There's no one before the other. That's not how unity works, right? So I'm saying this so that anyone watching this who has been prepared and has had your blinders coming down, and you have seen, and probably what I'm talking about, but just all that really dark energy, it's really old, it is truly barbaric, and it still exists. And getting through the idea that it hasn't been existing for a long time and recognizing that that's been a lie. And I don't say this in a dramatic way, that's not my intention, but it's heavy. So for those of us who maybe have seen that and who are better prepared mentally and emotionally, to hold compassion for others who will be seeing this sort of for the first time, and who will be seeing through our own blinders as our ignorance kind of dissipates and those blinders come down and we see more. A lot of people will want to sort of poke, say, I told you so. There's no need for that. There's no use in that. There's no good in that. It doesn't matter, because if we think bigger picture, there's just no good in that. So again, coming back to compassion. So I'm just feeling the need to put that reminder out right now to just continue to hold compassion, because a lot is going to be shifting this year. The movement of energy is really picking up speed. I'm not going to get into any specifics on kind of the information that I'm talking about, because that I don't feel like that's my personal role in all of this, or my contribution to all this. Every time I tune into like, what is my piece in this, because I identify as a metaphysician, and to me metaphysics is, or being that, is constantly taking a step back. Every time I feel restriction in a perspective that I'm holding, instantly I'm guided to take a step back, and so that I can see a bigger view. And that's my constant role in this. There are people in so many different roles, positions, if you will. So there are people who are in the position of providing certain information, and it just doesn't feel like it's my role right now. So because I'm just not working on that level. So okay, compassion, thinking for the self. A lot will be changing. It's all good. Remember the bigger picture. Remember to maintain your vibrational frequency and your vibrational maintenance as your top priority. Continue to hold love in your heart, and to understand and celebrate too that this is all, even though there's going to probably be a lot of discomfort. And I'm sorry, that's such an understatement. And I could be wrong. Okay? But I'm not trying to be right about anything. I'm just, again, sharing what I'm feeling. But we can celebrate this, because this is our time. This is happening. We made it. We crossed that threshold of 2012, December 21st. And we are in the new energy. And by golly, it's happening. You know, I can say for myself that prior to 2020, I was like, come on, can we hurry this up a little bit? Well, careful what you wish for. So, but thank goodness, because this is what we've come here for. Every single person on this planet is here for this in their own way, in their own role, whether they're doing something publicly or not, it doesn't matter. Everybody's here to be a part of this, and it's huge, and it's unprecedented, and it's very exciting, and it can be a little overwhelming sometimes too. So love yourself, love each other, just continue to be love, know your power. Okay, until next time, much love.